Andrew Sadek was born in Valley City, North Dakota in 1993 and raised on his family's cattle farm outside nearby Rogers. In 2005, his older brother and only sibling Nicholas was killed in a grade crossing accident. His family and his teachers described him as being quiet and shy. After graduating from Valley City High School, he began attending North Dakota State College of Science in 2012. He was studying to become an electrical technician at the two-year college. In April 2013, Andrew apparently began selling marijuana, meeting customers in the school's parking lots. On 2 occasions, the buyer was another student working as a confidential informant for the Southeast Multi-County Agency, or SEMCA, a task force of police officers from various local law enforcement agencies. Andrew's first sale to the CI was 1/8 of an ounce for $60. The second was 1 gram for $20. In November, based on those buys, SEMCA performed a consent search on Sadek's dorm room. They found an orange plastic grinder with marijuana residue. Sadek admitted it was his, however, he was not arrested or charged. The following day, Andrew met with Richland County Deputy Sheriff Jason Weber, a SEMCA officer. Because he had sold marijuana on a college campus, Weber told him that under North Dakota law, he could be charged with a Class A felony, the most severe, and sentenced to over 40 years in prison if convicted. He agreed to work as a CI as well to avoid that fate. Shortly afterwards, he made his first controlled buys as a CI. Twice before the month ended, he bought another 1/8 of an ounce from another dealer on campus in the same parking lot for $60 each. In January 2014, he bought a similar amount from a different dealer, one identified by the SEMCA officers. After that, he stopped keeping up contact with SEMCA. According to the officers, he needed to make one more buy from the same dealer he had bought from in January, plus one more from a third dealer to fulfill his obligations to them. He never made those buys. Andrew's family says he was preparing for life after school. He had gone as far as Bismarck, North Dakota and Grand Forks interviewing for work as an electrician and had begun dating a new girlfriend. Sadek returned to Rogers on the weekend of April the 25th to visit his parents and tend to his cattle herd. His mother called him late on the latter night after he returned to campus. They discussed their shared phone data plan, which was nearing its monthly limit. It was his last contact with his family. On the night of April the 30th, 2014, Andrew went out with his roommate Drew Kugel and some friends. The group returned to Norgard Hall, Sadek's dorm, where they watched a movie before going to bed. When Kugel awoke the next morning, Sadek was gone. He thought Sadek might have gone to see his girlfriend, but he did not attend any classes that day, and when he had not returned by the next afternoon, Kugel and Sadek's friends reported him missing to the NDSCS campus police. A review of security cameras at Norgard captured an image of him leaving the building shortly after 2 a.m. on May the 1st, wearing jeans and a Tampa Bay Buccaneers hooded sweatshirt, and carrying a black backpack. He was carrying his cell phone, but it was not turned on. SEMCA assumed he had fled to avoid further CI work and had him formally charged with 2 felonies in an attempt to motivate him to return. Arrest warrants were issued. His parents pleaded publicly for him to come home. The search ended, however, almost 2 months later on June the 27th, 2014. A police dive team doing a training exercise found Sadek's body in the Red River. It was identified through dental records. 2 months later, investigators from both states released the autopsy report. The cause of Sadek's death was a small caliber gunshot wound to the head. Whether the wound was self-inflicted or not could not be determined. The weapon has not been found. A backpack he was wearing had been filled with rocks. The Buccaneers sweatshirt was missing, but his body was wearing a jacket that he did not appear to be carrying or wearing on the security camera footage, and which his family did not recognise as one belonging to him. His wallet was also missing. Police dated Sadek's death to within 2 days of his disappearance. The gunshot wound was determined to have caused his death. However, it could not be determined whether it was self-inflicted or not. The weapon used has not been found, although police diving teams searched the river several times. The day the autopsy report was released, Sadek's mother, Tammy, gave a radio interview to Fargo station KFGO-FM. She claimed that the NDSCS campus police, who were in charge of investigating the circumstances of her son's disappearance and death, were treating it as suicide and not seriously exploring angles that suggested homicide instead. Tammy conceded that a .22 caliber pistol was missing from the family home, but doubted her son would have chosen to kill himself, with graduation only 2 weeks away. As proof of her allegations that evidence existed pointing to murder, she shared a detail the police had withheld from the public up until then. The backpack on her son's body had been filled with rocks, suggesting an intent to weigh down the body and keep it submerged. Further, she said he was not wearing the Buccaneers sweatshirt he had on when last seen alive on the security camera video, contrary to initial police claims that he was wearing the same clothing he had on at the time. Instead, he was wearing a jacket the family did not recognise as belonging to him. His wallet was also missing, suggesting another effort to hide his identity. In December, Tammy Sadek revealed that when the family brought his car home after his initial disappearance, they found the carpeting was completely wet. Underneath it, in the trunk, there were several inches of water in the spare tyre well. Tammy Sadek said this suggests to the family that someone may have killed her son, put his body in the trunk and driven it to the river, then returned to the campus. A security camera monitoring the parking lot was not functioning that night. Someone who had talked to her reported seeing 3 people cleaning a car similar to her son's the night he went missing. Tammy would later question whether the NDSCS campus police were capable of handling the investigation by themselves. She asked why the case had not been referred to the state's Bureau of Criminal Investigation or the FBI. She started a Facebook page about the case in which she promised to reveal every few months further information pointing towards a murder as a way to prod authorities to investigate the case more seriously. On the 2nd anniversary of the discovery of Andrew's body, his parents filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Richland County and Webber. They alleged that the county failed to properly train and oversee their son for what they were asking him to do. and deceived him by over-representing the likely severity of the punishment he would receive from a court if he did not cooperate. A lawsuit is not the North Dakota way, Tammy said, but this is our last grasp at hoping to get some answers.